When you understand how to manage your fear, you'll understand why you're so busy. Hey ladies, I'm back. Another day, another podcast. Okay, I don't know how the sound quality is going to be today, but I'm doing this in the closet, actually my mother's closet. So we're getting ready for my mom to move in with us. We built a mother-in-law suite on top of our house. It was a 5-month project. We lived with my mom for 5 months. And recently, in the last week or so, we've moved back into her house and her space is still empty. So she'll be here in a few months. But until then, I'm just going to utilize this extra square footage. Maybe I will do some yoga up here. Maybe I'll shoot some videos. But until then, I'm using her closet as my podcast studio. So that's what I got. Okay. My intention for today's podcast was to again have a conversation for women about why we are busying ourselves. It's a complicated conversation. I totally understand that. But it's this illusion, at the core of it all, it's this illusion that we have a lot to do. End of discussion. This, mental to-do list that we put on our own plate of all of the responsibilities of what it means to be a parent, to be a caregiver, to pay the bills, to put food on the table. I'm not going to lie. It is a lot of work. Yes, it is a lot of work. But what I do want to bring to the table is that we cause a lot of that drama and get so far removed from our core values that we become disassociated with who we are. So the reason why I wanted to talk about managing and understanding your fear, you stop being busy, is because on a daily basis, I talk to women saying, I hear this almost every single day, whether I'm going to the grocery store or I'm talking to a woman who wants to work with me, I will hear, I can't do it all, and I should be happy. Heather, you don't understand. I should be happy. On the outside, everything looks good, but on the inside, I feel like something's missing. And this is the issue. The traditional model of success is get a house, have children, get married, make money, have the nice car, make sure your hair is done, make sure it looks like your shit is put together. Therefore, you will be happy. And I see it all the time. People hustling, working themselves to the bone to get there. And then all of a sudden, they're like, check, 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 check. Oh my God. Why am I not happy? I should be happy. I have failed. I tried so hard to get here. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? The truth is, this is my truth and what I see. The reason why you're hustling and you're so busy is because you're living in fear. Fear that if you don't do more for your children, you're failing. Fear that if you don't have the newest car, you're failing, you're not good enough, you're not keeping up to the Joneses. That if you're not overqualified or overeducated, fear that you actually have to make more money, which the truth is you don't. You don't necessarily need to make more money. It's realigning your life, reassessing. Am I living within my means? Okay, I want to make more money. Great, go make more money. But what are you doing to make that money? Is that money requiring you to kill yourself? Is that money requiring you to take more precious time away from your family? Do you really need to go on a Disney cruise every year? What are you seeking? And oftentimes when I ask women that question, they respond with, I don't know. I don't know what I'm seeking. So managing your fear is essential. I want to tell you a story. And this is a story about what I call breadcrumbs. So when women come to me and they say, Heather, I don't know what I want. I just know I don't want this. I want more in my life. You might come in thinking, I want to start a business. I want more money. I want more time. I want more energy. Great. Let's start where you're at. But this is what I call a breadcrumb. So when I was working my corporate job as a social worker and developed kind of a curriculum to teach children mindfulness, this was a passion of mine. This was a breadcrumb. Interesting. Would other parents want to know this? So I started putting it out there, and I remember getting space volunteered to me out of the back of this little local shop. And I was so terrified to even put money down to rent out a space for the hour that I was like, oh, you said, I'll donate some money back to you. And I remember my first little class that I did about mindfulness and meditation, I think I made $40. I think 4 kids showed up and they paid $10 each. And the parents stood there at the back of the room and their arms crossed and they were like, what are you doing? Like, teach me this. And they were just very closed off, but yet curious. And while I was at the back of this room, so this is a breadcrumb, right? Something that I'm interested in, I'm watching and I'm observing, and I'm like, there's more here, there's more here, I can feel it. These are breadcrumbs. You keep following the breadcrumbs. So while I was teaching this class, I remember watching, because I was at the back of a store, I remember the local radio station coming in, and it was a guy, and he had like his microphone, and the logo of the local radio station was on the microphone, and he was interviewing the owner of the store, somebody at the store. And my gut, that internal voice said, Heather, go ask them to interview you. And I listened to it and I said, oh my God, no, that's terrifying. This was a breadcrumb. So I walked up to the guy after my class was done and I literally tapped him on the shoulder and I said, I think you should interview me. And he said, why? So I told him what I was doing with children and mindfulness. And he said, okay. And he interviewed me on the spot. He had his little recorder and his microphone. And he's like, well, what are you doing? Like, let me ask you some questions. And he just kept going. So I continued on my journey, and that was a breadcrumb. And then my interview got put on the radio. And then, from there, it was like there was other breadcrumbs, which led me to today. So I want to go back to the point of today's conversation, which was when you stop, like when you learn how to manage your fear, you'll stop busying yourself. It wasn't until I understood mentally, Heather, you will achieve your goal if you just stay consistent. One foot in front of the other, you will get to, the finish line. There's no such thing as failure. As long as you put one foot in front of the other and you are committed to success. That's it. Have a commitment to your goal and learning how to manage your fear. Fear is just false evidence appearing real. But too often what I see is people just living out of fear. Fear of food, fear of dying, fear of being a bad mother, fear of failing your children, fear of not having enough money, fear of not being good enough. And so oftentimes people say, okay, great. How do I even learn how to start to manage my fear? Like I've been living in fear my whole life, or I have fear in this one area and all the other aspects of my life are fine. 1, take out pen and paper. I want you to ask yourself, which part of my life feels really busy? Really busy. And I'm going to circle back as to why I told you that story today. Which part of my life feels really busy? So let's just say parenting, okay? Why does parenting feel busy? Well, because I have to take my kids here, and then I have to take them there, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that, and then I have to go to this doctor's appointment and that doctor's appointment. Why are you going to all these doctor's appointments? Well, because so-and-so was diagnosed with this, and if I don't do this, then this won't happen, and then there's school, and then there's this, and then there's that. Keep asking yourself why. Why are we going to these appointments? Why do you believe that's true? Why are you doing this on the weekend? Why did you put your children in more activities? Why are you going to that therapist? Why are you taking this workshop? Why? Keep asking yourself why. Now I'm going to circle back to that story I told you. If I could go back to that Heather, and that was about 9 years ago. If I could go back to that Heather, what I would tell her is, you will succeed. You will succeed, but you need to do it in a sustainable way because you will burn yourself out. You don't need to do this as a hustler. You don't need to busy yourself. It is okay. It's okay. You will succeed, but you simply have to have a plan, and you need to be diligent with your plan. You need to trust. You need to have deep faith when other people do not believe in you. That success will happen. Stay on course. And when you fall off course, get back on. When you learn to manage your fear, when you learn to co-create with it every single day, you sit with it. You're like, okay, what's going on over here? No. Come on, come back. You're not running the show today. You'll stop being busy. And in that moment, when you make those counterintuitive choices, when you so badly would typically say yes to something and you say no thank you, and you sit with all of that emotional discomfort, that is where magic happens. That's where you learn to rewire your brain. That is when you take a stand for yourself and you own your leadership and you say, I'm doing the best that I possibly can today. And if my child turns out to be a little asshole, well, they can take some responsibility for that too. You have to realize that there are breadcrumbs in front of you today. You might have an opportunity just right around the corner, like I did, when I was fucking terrified. I so badly wanted out of my job. I knew I couldn't spend 30 years there. I knew I had a passion, but I couldn't see the future. And after I tapped that guy on the shoulder and he interviewed me, I remember telling my mom, do you honestly think I can do this for a living? And she said, Heather, if you put your mind to it, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And in that moment, I didn't believe that I would be where I am today. So I'm telling you, follow the breadcrumbs and please understand that fear is just false evidence appearing real. So even though you might not know how your children are going to grow up to be adults, do the best you can today, but learn to manage your fear. Learn to calm down your nervous system. Learn to put one foot in front of the other because you will cross the finish line.